So, I had forgotten to start the screen recorder, so let's go back. Y equals 2x squared plus 5x. And then it says over the interval from -1 to 3. Okay. So that interval is for the x's. Agree?
Yes.
Good. All right. So, the easiest way to do this is to go in your graphing calculator, type in y equals 2x squared plus 5x. Look at the table, and when you look at the table, at some point, there will be a value for -1, which I think works out to be -3,
-3, yeah.
and the value for 3 works out to be 33.
33.
Now, you can calculate that too. You don't have to look it up in the calculator. God bless. Instead of looking it up in the calculator, you could have plugged in a -1, and that says this, let me just write it this way. -1 and 3. And you want to find the missing y values in each. So if I plug in a -1, -1 squared is 1 times 2 is 2, 5 times -1 is -5, and 2 minus 5 makes -3. And then I could plug in a 3, 3 squared is 9, times 2 is 18, and 5 times 3 is 15.
Bless you.
18 and 15, God bless, add up to 33. So now I have my 2 points, -1, -3, and 3 comma 33. At that point, I use my slope or rate of change formula. I'll call this one the second point, this one the first point. So I get 33 minus -3 over 3 minus -1, which is 36 over 4, which is 9. And once again, the success with that was very good. Most people got that
Do
right.
you want us to simplify it, or like?
I would take it either way, but 9 over 1, it is a slope, so leaving it as a fraction is okay as well. The next one said to graph. Oh, it didn't say to graph, but it gives you coordinates, and it asks you for the length of a particular line segment.
It's
And the-
-2 over 3.
-2, 3, so
and
that'd be
then
1,
3,
2, 1, 2, 3. And then the other one was 3, 7?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Man.
That lag though.
Okay, so there was -2, 3. Come on,
Wow.
every time I hold it, I emphasize a point, we have a problem. 1, 2, 3, that's 7 up there, so 3, 7 is here, and 2, 3 is here, -2, 3 is here. Come on, there we go.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Use
and
magic
technology at its finest.
Magic markers.
Just
Oh,
tap.
if we had virtual math
We
classes,
could not just tap.
maybe just like put on
Yeah.
a hover and
There you
Now.
go.
There's the line segment that I want to find the length of. To find the length of that line segment, what I need to do is finish the right triangle. Okay? And in the course of finishing that right triangle, here's my right angle. So across the way is my hypotenuse. If I count this distance, I'm going from -2 over to 3, so that's a distance of 5. And this is going from 3 to 7, so that's a distance of 4.
Or
And virtually every single person knew to do the Pythagorean theorem, which is basically leg squared plus leg squared is hypotenuse squared. So they did 4 squared plus 5 squared is, and I'm gonna call it d for distance, squared. And that would be 16 plus 25 is d squared.
41.
So I get d squared is 41, and then I have to square root both sides. And here
6.4
is where you went too far.
Oh, because it's not.
It doesn't
Yeah.
say to round it off anywhere. Done.
I'm triggered. So you want us to write it equals d?
If I ever want, I don't need the equals d, square root of 41 is fine. If I ever want you to put it as a decimal, I will say round your answer to the nearest tenth, express your answer as a decimal, round it to the nearest hundredth, etc. If you don't read that, you need to know to leave it as the square root of 41, and we did talk about that a few days ago, okay? So if you didn't leave it the square root of 41, I took 5 points off, and I fully expect that you won't make that mistake on the next one. Now, one of the things that I think I've said to you this year, that I know I said to your parents at Meet the Teacher Night, is there's so often when I come into a classroom and, well, at the end of the lesson, I say to myself, that went well. the kids are gonna understand that. That was a stellar presentation of the particular material. They're gonna be really good at it. And then there are days where I go, oh man, couldn't have gone worse. And so often, the kids come in, and on the days where I think it couldn't have gone worse, the kids understand everything. And on the days where I think it couldn't have gone better, they're like clueless. And I'm like, I just can't get a read all the time on how poorly or well a particular lesson went. So, I'm looking at the quizzes this morning, and I have a whole bunch of them, and they're all on different topics, and I'm looking and I'm saying to myself, do I want to give these kids this quiz today? Because I look at the last two and I go, we haven't covered those yet. But I know that you covered them like crazy the year before this.
Probably.
And they're also one of the easiest things that you do. So I hesitated to give you the quiz, and I thought about waiting till Monday, but I said, you know what? They really ought to be able, Wednesday, they really ought to be able to do all the stuff in red. We've done a lot of that. I think, I did say to myself, I think they're gonna forget to leave at the square root of 41, and that did work out to be the case. So far I was pretty accurate, but I expected you guys to bomb the next two.
Oh, yeah.
Just because it's been so long since you did it. And I said, you know what, I don't care if they bomb it, because they get 2 more quizzes after this, and they'll get them right on the next 2 quizzes, because once I remind you, they're very easy, and I know you'll get them right. And lo and behold, you got them right, without me ever really needing to remind you. So kudos to you, you did a great job of remembering last year, but I'm still going to go over it anyway, just in case you forgot. And I saw something on one paper that concerned me. So here's the question. 5n minus 7 is 18. There is something you should never, ever do. You do not, Alex, head the game here, bud. Let's get the knee down, let's get focused. You are to never say to yourself, 5 times what number? Take away 7 is 18. And then you start thinking and you go, well, oh, 5 times 5. Because 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 minus 7 is 18. Let me show you, you should not do that. And I'm gonna show you why in a second. These were easy equations, so you can get away with it. But let me show you the correct way to solve it first. That says minus 7, so you should do plus 7. You want to do inverses or opposites. That's 5n equals 25. And then you divide by 5.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, I did that afterwards.
And n equals 5. Now, here's the reason you never want to do that. You never want to do that because in the very near future, you will get equations that look like this.
That's really
You're
close.
joking.
No, I am not.
So is it like
It's on algebra 1, right?
Oh my god.
Now, the good news is that it's not hard,
It's not.
particularly with the calculator.
Okay.
The bad news is nobody walks around off the top of their head and says, 5 1/4 times that, plus that ugly decimal. Oh, yeah, times it by 2 3/7. Oh, but on the other side, I only need to do 3x plus 1 and whatever that is, 1/5. Forget it. Nobody walks. Einstein doesn't walk around with that in his head. Well, Einstein doesn't walk around anymore, but anyway. Einstein doesn't roll around his grave with those numbers in his head. Neither does Euler or Euclid or any of the other great mathematicians
What
over
about
the
Newton?
centuries. Nobody does.
What about Jose Bernardino?
But you don't like that?
So, we need to develop an algorithm or a strategy for being able to get equations correct. And that is what we're going to start on next week. Okay? What we just did, that question about 5x minus 7 is 18, you know to add 7 to both sides and then divide by 5. That's a fundamental toward what it is we're trying to understand. So we're working our way up to this. In a week or so, we should be able to do something like this. But at this particular point in time, nobody can do it in your head like you could number 3. Now, let's go to number 4, which says 4 times x minus 3 equals 32.
Oh, this one I couldn't do, man.
Now, I'm going to show you 2 ways to do this question. I'm going to show you the more methodical approach, which I hope once I show you, you remember from last year. And then I'm going to show you a little bit more of a powerful, intuitive approach. based on understanding equations. And I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself right here, but I'm kind of hoping that as I go through this, you're like, oh, yeah. God bless. And that it'll make sense to you. So the first way to do this is to what we call distribute. We're going to do some work with distributing over the next few days. Distribute, that means multiply the 4 by everything in the package. And I get 4x minus 12 equals 32. That should ring a bell to you guys, right?
Yeah.
Good. And then again, opposites. That says minus 12, so you do.
Plus 12.
So I add 12 to both sides. Die,
40,
die.
44.
4x is 44. Then I divide by 4. X is
11.
11. Yeah, it's pretty good when you can go faster than the computer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, next up is so to me, this is the methodical, blood and guts kind of approach. It's perfectly fine. It works great. But then there are style points.
Style point.
Style points. The ability to show that you're really understanding what's going on. See, when we solve this one over here, we ask ourselves what's going on with the variable, and we distribute, and then we do the opposites and get it done. But I could have also noted that in this particular problem, the whole side was being multiplied by 4. That's what distribute means. And as long as you're distributing it to the entire side, what did I just say? Entire side. I can divide the entire side. So I can divide the whole side by 4. Die, die. And I can get x minus 3 equals 8. Add 3 to both sides.
Whoa.
X is 11.
Wow.
Okay. So this is a little slicker, okay? A little bit slick here, little style points. I like the blue way. The red way is blood and guts. It works.
Did you make it red because it's blood and guts?
No, I didn't plan on that, but we can go with it. Yeah, I'm partial to whichever one works best at the moment and whichever one you like, you do. Okay, so there is your quiz, going over your quiz, and as always, I just want to remind you that we have a quiz the Wednesday we get back. It's going to be a while from now, and if you don't look at this quiz between now and Wednesday, then I think you might make the same mistakes on Wednesday. So my advice to you would be, at some point tonight or tomorrow, look over this quiz, and then on Tuesday, look over the quiz, just for 5 minutes max. And I think you'll do really well on the quiz we have on Wednesday. Now, let's talk a little bit about your relearn pack. It is a 4-day weekend, okay? We have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It is supposed to be miserable weather. So I think you're going to be stuck in the house a lot this weekend. So my advice to you is, Sean, if you're going to do the relearn packet, I think this weekend's a great time to get it done. So I would suggest that if you are going to do the packet, you watch any video that you're supposed to watch for whatever sections you're supposed to do. That'll be section A, and then you do all of the B's. And then you come to extra help. When we get back on Tuesday, I'm at the library from 5:30 to 7:30, you can come there. Or you can come in on Wednesday morning for extra help. And then we'll show that you're doing B's the right way, and then we'll go into C's. And then after that, you can take your retest. Now, Sabrina did a pretty good job on her test. It wasn't perfect, but it was solid.
Her retest.
But, no, her first test. But she chose to do the relearn packet anyway. And you went to the library last night, and we worked on it. Was it hard? No. And how long did it take to get through everything you needed to get through? And she did the whole thing, every single question she needed to do to take a retest. How long? I think more per section. I think in about 45 minutes you were done with the whole packet.
Yeah.
So, my advice to you would be, this weekend is a really good chance to knock it off, and then you come to extra help, you knock off the last little bit of it, and then you will be ready to take the retest whenever you want to, which makes me ask, did you want it at lunch today or no? Okay. So, I think you're in a great position to help yourself. I haven't set a date for it being due yet, but it's usually about 2.5 to 3 weeks later that it's due. So you're probably looking in and around October the 15th or so, maybe October 20th at the latest. So I would get it done right now. Get it done while it's fresh in your mind. And also, when you get the relearn packet questions done, you're able to apply it to the next chapter. So you have quizzes to take between now and then, bless you. You're going to get, believe it or not, a take-home test. And you're going to be able to take the things you learn and straighten out from the relearn packet and apply it to those grades. So it's only going to help those grades as well. So I suggest that you get started on it as soon as possible, and this weekend is like the perfect time
Wednesday
to
you have
start.
extra help, right?
What's that?
Wednesday you have extra help, right?
Monday, Wednesday, Thursday mornings, Tuesdays at the lab.
Okay, Wednesday, okay.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about this. So point P is gonna be where they intersect because it's on the graph for both people, right? Let's see here. You know the coordinates of point P, the coordinate means is the first person is at an elevation of 4 feet 24 seconds, the second person is also at the same thing. So all it emphasizes is what we talked about the other day when we said that these two things needed to be, the point of intersection is where it happens at the same time, at the same place. So let's go through now and do some graphing. And the problem here is that I'm going to need you guys to do some reading for me because I can't quite seem to do this myself. Okay, go ahead. Start us off, Nick. What do we got?
Alright, consider the story. Duke starts at the base of a ramp and walks up it at a constant rate. His elevation increases by 3 feet every second. Just as Duke starts walking up the ramp, Shirley starts at the top of the same 25-foot high ramp and begins walking down the ramp at a constant rate. Her elevation decreases 2 feet every second.
Okay, so the distance is 25 for the whole distance for the ramp. So that means that I need to make this go to 25, and if I do by ones, it's not gonna fit. So 0, 2, C. Ready? 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. Okay, and then the time will be over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Shut up. Okay, so this is distance, and this is time, and this is ramp position. Okay, so I've got my title, I've got my axes labeled, I've got my numbers, and now I am ready to do what I need to do. Yes?
Could you also do Y versus X for the title?
Yeah, you could put extra, well, the title has to be like ramp, it should be what it's about.
Oh,
All right, you can use X and Y for the bottom if you want, but I do like to see time and distance on there. So, we got, whatever the guy is, he starts at 0, and he goes 3 feet a second. So, the tricky part here is to realize that 3 feet is halfway in between, right? Are you with me on that?
Yes.
Okay. So, let's see, then I go to here, and 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 then to here, and then to here, and then to here. And that would be pretty much, it's only 25 feet long, so pretty soon I'm gonna hit a height of 25, and as soon as I do, I have to stop. There you go. Okay, that should have stopped at 25, but as you know, for some strange reason, it's not going at the same speed. So, where should you start for the next question?
You should start at 25.
Good, everybody make it down on 25. What's the rate of change for the next person? Talk to me. Everybody.
She decreases 2 feet
2
per
feet per
second.
second. So starting at 25, go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Be very careful about exactly what is 2.
Oh, whoopsies.
Yep, you got that.
Bless you.
Oh, great, now everyone's gonna yell.
Bless you, Paulina. I know. You are welcome.
Bless you.
Okay. Did you get a thing that looks like that?
Yes.
Everybody's graph looks good?
Yes.
Okay, now let me talk about some caveats here, some warnings. Everybody look up. First warning, there are no arrows on the ends.
Because it's not infinite.
Yeah, it's not going on forever and ever. You've got a hallway that's 25 feet long. If you put an arrow on the end, do you have Superman? Is he running through the wall?
It's a ramp.
Okay? Next, can you decrease below, when we go to distance, can you get past 0? No, you can't.
Because she's not dicky.
Yeah, so, and we don't wanna go this way, we don't wanna put an arrow on the end of the red line by the 0, because then we're getting into negatives for time and so on and so forth. The big point of emphasis for the last 2 days is this: where the point of intersection. Now, mine looks a little bit sloppy there. I'm thinking 10, 12, 14, I'm thinking it's at 15, and this is 5, 15. Is that, do you agree that on your papers, they also meet at the point 5, comma 15?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the whole point of the last 2 days, is to show that you can run two graphs at the same time, that they can meet at a point. And the thing that makes that point so important is that it satisfies both equations. And that will be a skill we use later in the year. If you think about this, 15 is 5 times 3. And on the other one, you started at 25, and you go 2 feet per second. So if I go 5 seconds, that's 10 feet. 25 minus 10 is also 15. So whether it's 3 times 5 is 15, using the red slope, or 25 minus 2 times 5. Either way, at the time of 5 seconds, you have 15 feet from that door, which makes them at the same point at the same time. Okay, any questions?
No.
Okay, so what you need to do now is begin the homework and get a head start on that. And remember, relearn packets over the weekend.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any extra reading packets?
Sure. How many you lost from? Really? Next time you lose it, it's 100 push-ups.